This is Andrew bringing you another great Keyforge deck reveal and review. It's going to be another Worlds Collide deck. This one is from my box number 2. What did I get from box number 2 last time? I think it was... yeah, it was Shadows, Star Alliance, and Untamed. And this time... it's going to be Logos, Shadows, and Dees. Ooh. I've gotten a lot of Logos in Worlds Collide so far. Something I will not complain about. Not a ton of Dees. And, I think I did get one deck a while ago that was this particular house combo, and it was not very good. But it's funny because, you know, in Coda this was a very coveted house combo. And this one is called Wellington, the Pickpocket of Evermore. So in Logos, I'm looking for ways to accelerate my deck and maybe control my opponent a bit on Amber cost, some direct damage for creature control. In Shadows, I'm also maybe hoping for some direct damage, and of course steal, and maybe some other disruption effects. And then in Dees, I'm hoping to really be able to disrupt my opponent, controls, kill a bunch of stuff, maybe some steal, maybe some ways to exploit some direct damage that I did earlier. Yeah, well, we'll see what we get. Maybe just purge stuff outright, that's always fun. Alright, and starting out with Dees, we have Binding Irons. Your opponent gains 3 chains. I think this is, good in Chainbound. It's not so great outside of Chainbound, but it's not terrible. Makes your opponent draw 1 less card for 3 turns, right? Which is like having a Succubus out for 3 turns. Dendrix is a 5-power demon with Fight. Your opponent discards a random card from their hand. That could be interesting with Shadows, because we might do some of that kind of stuff in Shadows too, depending on what we get. Exhume is an action with a bonus amber. You choose a creature in your discard pile, and you can play that creature as if it belonged to the active house and was in your hand. That could be really good with some of the Shadows and Logo stuff. Maybe even some D stuff as well. Ooh, Harbinger of Doom is a 2-power demon with 3 armor, and when it's destroyed, you destroy each creature. That is brutal. And, creepy artwork. Good, only one of those. I would have been sad to see 2. I think one's pretty okay. Imp Spectre is a 2-power imp with destroyed. Purge a random card from your opponent's hand. That I like. Ooh, we have 2 of those. I don't mind that. I was thinking the other day, would I rather have this or Dust Imp? And I think I'd rather have Dust Imp, but it's still a pretty cool effect. Infernus, 4-power demon. With play, purge up to 2 cards from a discard pile. Your opponent loses amber equal to the total amber bonus of the purged cards. That can be pretty brutal, and especially with the Exhume, right? We could potentially play the same copy twice. Lilithal is a 5-power demon. Oh, and by the way, sorry, I just have to point out, with the Infernus, even if you purge from your own discard pile, it's still your opponent that loses the amber. However, obviously, if you purge from theirs, you can take some high-value cards. This is real hate for some of the crazy Coda Untamed stuff, because, you purge a Dust Pixie and you're making them lose 2. You purge a Fertility Chant, you're making them lose 4. It can be pretty crazy. Lilithal is a 5-power demon with Fight, Reap, Capture 1. Interesting. The Evil Eye is an action with a bonus amber, and it makes keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. Ooh, Bornit is a 3-power demon. With Reap, reveal the top 5 cards of a player's deck. Purge a card revealed this way, and shuffle the other revealed cards into that deck. If we can do this, especially if we can do it multiple times, that's going to really hurt combo decks. Obsidian Forge is an artifact with a bonus amber, and it has actions: sacrifice any number of friendly creatures. Then you may forge a key at +6 current cost, reduced by 1 for each creature sacrificed this way. If you do, destroy Obsidian Forge. So, I could actually really imagine this could be great with the Harbinger, because what you do is plop the Harbinger down, destroy all your stuff with Obsidian Forge, and you're actually destroying their stuff too. That could be pretty awesome. Orb of Invidious. Ooh, that's really going to change the game. It's an artifact with a bonus amber, and it says after a creature reaps, stun it. This slows the game down insanely. Oof. Rough. Now, that's actually, I feel like we got 1, 2, 3, 4 bonus amber in here. Interesting. But Obsidian Forge is going to be real interesting. Alright, on to Logos. We have Babbling Bibliophile, 1 power cyborg scientist with Reap, draw 2 cards. That's really good. Edie is a 3 power AI scientist with play, archive a card, and it makes your opponent's keys cost +1 for each card in your archives, which is really nice. Igor is a 2 power cyborg with play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, and discard the others. It's a really nice effect. Hapsis is a 5 power mutant scientist, and after an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Hapsis, you ward it and draw a card. Very nice. 2 of those. Cool. Ooh, and an information exchange. You steal 1, and if your opponent stole amber from you on their previous turn, you steal 2 instead. Really nice. Wild Wormhole gives you bonus amber, and you play the top card of your deck. Dr. Millie is a 2 power scientist, and when you play it, for each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, not counting Dr. Millie, archive a card. And that, could potentially set up the Edie really nicely. We'll see. Interdimensional Graft gives you a bonus amber, and if your opponent forges a key on their next turn, they must give you their remaining amber. Positron Bolt gives you a bonus amber and deals 3 damage to a flank creature, 2 damage to its neighbor, and 1 damage to the second creature's other neighbor. Really nice direct damage like I was talking about. Ooh, Dysania is a fun one. 4 power mutant with play, your opponent discards each of their archived cards. You gain an amber for each card discarded this way. I like that with all the purge because, well, for one thing, once the things are discarded, they become valid targets for Infernus, and your opponent didn't even get to play them. But also, it's just more great disruption, right? Like your opponent, they're getting cards purged from their hand from Inspector, purged from their discard pile with Infernus, maybe purged from their deck because of Bornit. They're drawing less. They're getting cards knocked out of their hand. And then you knock their archives out too. And either that or the Infernus are both decent targets for the Exhume. I wouldn't mind either of those. Pocket Universe, that's interesting. It's an artifact, an item, and you can spend amber on it when you're forging keys, and you can exhaust it to move an amber from your pool to the Pocket Universe. I don't love it. It's really scary if your opponent has any sort of artifact control, because if it gets destroyed or goes back to your hand or something, you just lose the amber. But if your opponent is stealing, then it can end up working out nicely. Shadows. We have Avenda, 4 power elf thief with Reap, deal a damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. That's pretty cool. Hit and Run. Deal 2 damage to a creature, return a friendly creature to your hand. Let's hope for a Ronnie, maybe a Sneck Lifter. We have Hawk, gain an amber, destroy an artifact. If you do, gain an amber. Pretty nice. J-Venda is a 2 power elf thief with elusive, and after he reaps, you deal a damage to a creature, and if this damage destroys that creature, you steal an amber. We have 2 J-Vendas, that's real nice. Kymor Eclipse has you shuffle each flank creature into its owner's deck. That can be quite nice for board control. Pestering Blow, also good board control. This gives you a bonus amber, and you deal 1 damage to a creature and enrage it. Really nice for keeping certain things from being able to reap. 2 of those, nice. It gets you the amber, so it's worth it. Simon is a 1-power elf thief with skirmish and fight. Put the creature Simon fights on top of its owner's deck. That's an interesting one. Oubliette purges a creature with power 3 or lower. And finally, second to last, Spike Trap gives you a bonus amber. And then it has Omni. Sacrifice Spike Trap. If you do, deal 3 damage to each flank creature. Yeah. That could be pretty good. And lastly, we have Rigged Lottery, which is an action with a bonus amber. And when you play it, each player discards the top 5 cards of their deck, and for each Shadows card discarded, its owner gains an amber. Oh my gosh, more disruption. I mean, just think over the course of the game, you could really be denying your opponent a lot of cards with this deck. So, cool stuff. Not a great target for the hit and run, really. Yeah, I just don't see one. The Spike Trap hits your own creatures, and so does the Kymor Eclipse. So you have to be careful about that. See, I wouldn't mind dropping the Pocket Universe and then just hawking it. That might be the best use in the end in some games. In other games, you might get some value. And then, what are we going to... So we have interesting archive strategies here just to pull stuff out later. We really are about just disrupting what our opponent's doing here. My biggest concern is I don't think we have enough raw amber generation to just all-out race. We might. We have decent stuff here, but I don't think we have quite enough to just flat-out race. There's not really enough amber control to slow the opponent down, and maybe the Edai helps us enough, but it's just that one card that can boost the amber cost. And Interdimensional Graft can help for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like Star Alliance and Dinos are just so good. It's hard evaluating other stuff compared to them, and maybe I'm just so hyped on them that I'm underrating other things, but this seems okay. It doesn't seem amazing to me. But fun, just in the sense of like really messing around with whatever your opponent's doing. You're going to be constantly upsetting them and making them feel like, I wanted to play that card. It's gone now, and that could be pretty cool. So anyway, this was Wellington the Pickpocket of Evermore. It is Logos Shadows Dees, and I hope you enjoyed my deck reveal, and that you'll get out and forge some keys.